Now, as a person who has sat here and talked you through many elections, good election results, bad election results, leaders we liked, disliked, one thing that is at this moment, in February 2021, is that the ultimate number at the moment to have a look at, the health or otherwise of a government, isn't your primary vote, although that has a 4 in front of it, and that would be an easy win for the coalition. It isn't two-party preferred when it comes to 50-50 because it can slip a little this way, slip a little that way, and frankly, they don't know what to do with the preferences of other. Remember, there is no Clyde Palmer party. The One Nation numbers are a little down on where they were before, and they were misallocated going into the last election. The overall temperature check at the moment in Australia about the health or otherwise of a government is the preferred leader number. This was the last Newspoll that was put out before the Queensland election. It was not a competitive election in Queensland. The two-party preferred was like 51 to 48, but the actual show of strength was that they were, the Queensland people, wrapped by their leader. They wanted Annastacia Palaszczuk to be the Premier. I think they made a mistake, but still, we got an indication. If you're willing to look at these numbers, not the way you want to, but just what is the closest to reality. At the moment, preferred Premier, preferred Prime Minister is the closest to reality. Sorry, Twitter. It ain't hashtags, it ain't trending, it ain't what you get constantly reaffirmed by when it comes to the echo chamber of the Greens. And over in Western Australia, we all know what's coming, which is that Mark McGowan is going to win not just the lower house, but the upper house and the third chamber of parliament, because that is the current preferred Premier rating. Now, he's an emperor. I can't stand most of what he does, but I'm not going to live in a bubble and pretend that the obvious isn't coming. Now, of course, all of this has to be taken with a grain of salt, because one thing we learnt again out of the 2019 election was that the polls, firstly, skew Labor's way, that's their own admission, in a report which was commissioned and participated by all of the different polling organisations. And secondly, they got it wrong. Remember, we were supposed to have a left-wing revolution. We were supposed to get Shorten as Prime Minister. So I'm not going to take any poll to the bank, a good one or a bad one. But the trend is always the story. And if the trend is that the Prime Minister is as far in front over each-way-Albo as 2 to 1, and this poll was taken at a time when the media said the only issue that mattered in the country was his response to the situation involving the former Liberal staffer, well, this tells us it wasn't. Will that number get tighter closer to the election? Absolutely. Because just as the bushfires were a false low, pandemics are false highs. But anyone who wants to pretend that somehow the Prime Ministership of Scott Morrison smashed against the rocks and was in ruins because of last week, you don't actually look for evidence. You just want your worldview reaffirmed all day, every day. And there's plenty of media that'll give that to you. We'll just give you the facts. We'll just tell you what's really going on. Because I remember what we said almost every single night into that 2019 election. Nothing is inevitable.